Good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon, the 11th of October, 2024. I'm going to continue my series on Wyckoff scans and charts in HCS Investor software. I've got an addition of a chart and a modification, also another Wyckoff bar that I've inserted, and I'll show that to you. I'm going to talk more about scanning for demand and supply, and I'm going to concentrate on a couple of scans I put in for the most active stocks and ETFs. You can delete my charts and scans before you update the add-on. I don't think this week it's a necessity, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And as a subscriber, you know how to do that. As always, the market is your teacher. We learn that all the time, or reinforce it, I should say. As usual, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Now, this is the first page of my newsletter. You're going to need to download this Wyckoff demand supply guidelines because I've added another on the long side: demand, volumes less than average, spreads below average, and a mid-close. And that's going to be, or that is, a darker blue bar. You'll see that as I go through this presentation. Now I'm going to do a manual intraday update. Takes about 30 seconds. Okay, and then I'm going to go in to the designer, go to the industries, and just rebuild them so they're current with the latest stock data. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the designer. And I want to point out where I am, the scans that I'm using, and then I'll talk about the charts. In the essential warehouse views, these are the ones that I use most of the time. This group down here contains more scans and so on, but these are the ones that I'm focusing on right now. And I put a folder in here called Most Liquid Options Scans. And it separates the stock options from the ETF options. And I'll get into that in this video. And I'm going to use these because these are the names we're all familiar with, and it just gives us a good feel for what's going on in the market. For example, if I click on the weekly liquid stock options intraday, I'm sorted on raw combo, and you can see Bank America is at the top of the list, but there's several diversified banks because JP Morgan and I believe Wells Fargo reported today, and the banks got a big boost. Now I'm going to drop down to the liquid ETF options, and you can see immediately where the strength is today. It's in the Russell 2000, the S&P 500 industrial section, the financials. Well, I should be looking over here. You can see the range. The market is holding strong into the close for most of these, and the percentage gains are in this column right here. I want to bring up an arrow. And let's take a look here. So this is the one-day change. This is the range. And you can see the volumes running below normal today. And here is the liquidity column, I call it, or the volume. And you can see that these ETFs are all heavily traded. So they're easy to get in and out of, and they all have options, which are mostly pretty liquid. Now, if you want to locate where these ETFs and also the liquid stocks are in my files. Just click on the, I have to take control of it, I guess. Click on the designer, bring it up, go to my user groups. Under the non-index groups, if you go down here to the options, best securities to trade, let me take the filter off. You'll see that all of the ETFs are in here right now, and once the filter is removed, all of the stocks are in here too. So this is the list of stocks and ETFs. There are 75 of them. But rather than looking at them all at once, you can quickly just go to the liquid stocks or the liquid options, and it segregates them according to stock or options. And then you can see the pertinent information according to my views. So let's just take a look at the Russell 2000 here. You can see that the 3 is below the 6, and it's been there for 8 days. And the VPOC is also negative. Now, the chart, one of the charts that I've added, and you'll find this chart number 6 under Wyckoff VFB, demand and supply. Number 6, I decided that I needed a chart that had the exponential moving averages in them, 3, 6, 18, 50, 100, and 200, and the histograms down here. This is a micro trend, short-term trend, and the intermediate term trend, and it's just an easy read on where a ETF or a stock is relative to the moving averages. If everything is positive like it is on the Russell, the IWM, and the 200 and the 100, the 50, and the 18 are stacked, that means the long-term trend is up. And now you can see today that the 3 crossed above the 6. And if I go back to this has been negative. And let's bring this back up. And you can see that it's been down for several days, the 3 below the 6, but today it is positive. Now these are the new bars or the new scans that I added. Notice the dark blue bar. Here's the light blue bar clear over here. But the dark blue bars, as I mentioned briefly, indicate when an ETF or a security has low volume, the spread's below average, and the close is mid, but the close has to be greater than the open. And in other words, it's got to be a white candle. And on these days, when it closes positive on light volume with a spread below average, there's not strong buying or selling pressure on either day, but there's more buying pressure because the stock closed above the midpoint. And you can see it here and here and here also. This was starting to see some accumulation here. Then we had a test, a confirmation of that test, strength seen returning, confirmation, effort to rise. These green bars mean there's demand on lower volume, lower than average volume. Now remember, these signals are just one-day signals. When certain criteria is met, a colored line is generated. It gives insight into what is happening. Now, you may just look at a chart, just a blank chart, and not notice any of these characteristics of the individual bar or candle, but with these lines in here, as you get used to working with this, they mean something. They mean accumulation or more demand than supply. On the demand side and on the supply side, it means more supply than demand. Let's get back up to this. Anyway, that's chart number 6. Now, you may not want to use it all the time. There's a lot of information in here. There's also pocket pivot information in here. And let me go up. Well, I'll just go to the right here, the quick pick. And let's look at Bank of America today. And remember when I updated the industry groups? You can see that the industry group is up sharply today along with the stock. Now, JP Morgan was up quite a bit at the open, and it's holding up pretty well, nearly 80% of its daily range, and volume is heavy here. So if we bring it up, because these criteria are met, volume is high, spread is wide, close is very high, that generates a dark green bar. At the same time, there's an effort to rise bullish sign. So these are moving up early this morning. And I should have jumped on this, but I didn't. Anyway, let's look at this. It was coming down. You can see the 3 below the 6 right here. Then it was flat at this point, and then it crossed over right here. Before the crossover, one of these dark blue bars was generated after a light green bar, and then a small shakeout here, or a down day, but volume was light on that day. You can see it's right here. So no big deal. And then another one. Let me make this full screen. It's probably easier to see here. On this one right here, I'll put the crosshair on. You can see the volume was below the 90-day moving average, so no signal was generated. And then the next day, there is pocket pivot volume, positive pocket pivot volume, a dark green bar along with multiple bullish VPA flags. This is hesitation pattern, probably waiting for earnings, and then it started, these two right here, and then it started going. Gapped open here, closed lower, but let's look at the volume that day. You can see the volume was still below average on that day, and then today, this is moving up in anticipation of good earnings, and then today all of these stocks started moving, and there was an opportunity to get in at 216 at the open. Trade down a little bit from the open. You can see that wick there, and then it continued up. So the addition is the blue bar and this chart. Those are the two new things that I've added. And also I did add these weekly liquid stock scans, stock and ETF scans. And really, if you're trading options or either naked or spreads, you could really just concentrate on these. Okay, I'm going to click on the intraday. Now let's see the kind of information we were getting on at yesterday's close. On Bank of America, the volume was low, the spread was narrow, but the close was in the middle. Now if I bring that chart up, nothing happened. There's no blue bar here because the close is lower than the open. Kind of a spinning top here, but today you can see what happened with Bank of America. It shot up with the rest of the banks. Now I'm going to go here. I'm going to sort on industry percentage price change, and I'm looking for groupings of stocks. You can see the diversified banks. There's 4 of them that are contained in that folder that I showed you of active options. So just by looking at these 47 securities, you can get a feel for what's going on within these industry groups. If you want the stocks that are most in demand, just sort on raw combo, and it'll sort these for you. Now I'm going to drop down to the weekly ETFs, And this gives me a good idea of the strength of the market. Look at all of these indexes that are trading near their high of the day. I'm going to do an F5 and download the latest data. And then we'll be current on this. Okay, and nothing much changed, but very strong market. The XLI, the S&P industrial sector, is now at the top, the IWM second, the diamonds, the financials, retail, and so on down the list. It just shows how strong the market is just with these few ETFs. Now, you can see that the fear is out of the market because the Ultra VIX, the UVXY, is down at the bottom. The Ultra Short S&P 500 is down at the bottom, just the inverse of the S&P 500. But this is a 2X. You can see it's a 2X. Anyway, it's very actively traded. But here in an instant, we get a good read on what's going on. Now, anytime during the day, if you want to know what the current Wyckoff indicators are saying, you can do it this way. You can just bring up a stock or an ETF, either one, and put your cursor on that, and it'll tell you what's going on. Less than average, above average, or very high, and the sentiment is bullish. Or if you are prospecting, let's say midday, and you want the current rankings to show over here, the current information to show over here, you can do an intraday update, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to pause while I'm doing it, but I'm just going to grab this right here. Take a picture of that, and then I'm going to click on update. I'm going to select update and include intraday data. Now I've got a pretty fast computer. It takes me 5 minutes to go through the whole database. So I'm going to do that and pause the video in the meantime. Okay, I went through the entire update. Unfortunately, I have to update all the fundamentals and stuff, or it would be a lot faster, but I'll do this occasionally. And now let's go back into the warehouse. Bring this down here. I'm going to bring yesterday's information or last night's information in here. And you can see that, let's look at the Russell, the IWM. Yesterday was less than average, narrow, and high. And today, the volume's low, spreads above average, and the close is very high. So if you're interested in getting the current information, you can do that. It's really not necessary because you can just click on the chart and see what the signals are telling you at that moment. But occasionally I'll run through the entire update process just to get a current list of stocks. Now let me show you something else you can do now. I made user SmtGroups out of these Wyckoff scans. They're down here at the bottom. Here's 1 through 6 on the long side, 1 through 5 on the short side. Now if you're interested only, for example, and let's use the most recent one, and I'm going to go to all securities, and you can see that there are a lot of stocks that come up on this one right here. You wouldn't want to use all of them. There's like 1,170 that meet the requirements here. Let's go up here to the increased price spread and strong volume today. There's 142 of these stocks. It just shows you how strong the market is today. And this includes ETFs and warrants and everything. I may modify these filters. This is something I just put in, but let's just use the increased price spread and strong volume. And then let's go in here. And if you are looking for stocks that are meeting these requirements, very strong stocks, but you want to limit this to the weekly liquid stocks intraday, you can see how it cuts it down. And these are the stocks that are meeting these requirements after I did the update. These are the ones that are in most in demand, I should say. And I need to bring up the Wyckoff VFB demand. You can see that there is a green bar on here. So this is how you can find the stocks that are meeting certain requirements. Let's look at the ETF, same thing. Remember, I'm in this user smart group that I created, and then I'm adding another filter. Now, let's go down to the top-down process views here, and I'm looking for stocks with earnings momentum. So let's look for stocks that are really in demand, that have EPS and revenue growth with rising earnings estimates for the current quarter, and I'll do it intraday. So I can quickly isolate these stocks that have increased price spread and strong demand that also have EPS. Let's bring up a chart here. You can see there's revenue growth here on both the top and bottom lines, but I'm looking for growth, strong growth, earnings growth between quarters here, and the estimate, look at the estimate, 310% increase. So that's how I can quickly find stocks that are up today and meet the criteria of the filter. Now notice here, this is the intraday time and this is the intraday date. I'm doing this on the 11th, so when you run through the entire update, if you want to take the time to do it, this intraday date is going to reflect the current date. Now you probably want to do this earlier in the morning. I'm just showing you how you can do it. Let's look at COIN. You can see here's the green bar, dark green bar with heavy demand, money flowing in. You can see the group is going up. Now if I drop down to my number 6 chart, I can see where it is in the trending or lack of trending stage, and you can see that not good. Here's the 200, here's the 100, here's the 50. So it's really sold off a lot, and the group is outperforming, and yet this stock is clear down here. So it's not strong, but you can see buyers are stepping into it today. And let's take a look at the projected or the earnings growth and the projected growth. So very strong. Now let's go down to, I'll just leave it in there, but I'm going to go to a different group. I'm going to go down to wider spreads on lower volume. This should give us a light green bar. You can see that it does right here. Let's look at GigaCloud Technology. This had a nice run and then a pullback, and now there's buyers coming into it. Let's say you want to look at box stocks. Box stocks are right here. Let's look at box stocks intraday. Sorted on wall combo. And here is a stock that's been under accumulation. It's trying to go up. It's got to get past resistance. But this signal is a light green bar. Same thing yesterday. Here's a test and a confirmation of that test. But you can just go to these different groups. I'm still in box stocks. And here's narrower price spread and lower volume. Bring this up. This is the yellow bar. If you want to apply any of my scans to these groups, the groups have been created with that update. They're current, and you can just put any scan on here you want to. Now let's say I'm looking for stocks with the the EMA fan trend up. I click on that and notice the fan is up on all of these. I'm just going to click on this stock because it is up for all of the VPA trends, long, medium, and short, and then the fan is up. It's got B accumulation. So I can quickly locate a stock in a strong uptrend that is getting these signals today. I'm going to go back to my first group, leave the same sort on, the EMA fan. This ADMA was a really great stock. Had a little shakeout here, but the fan is up, as you can see. It did close down today, but this is the signal today. Buyers are coming back into this stock. I don't know what this sell-off was. I'd have to go look for news and so on. But the fan is up. Let's look at one more. I'm not familiar with this stock here. Lots of blue bars here, but now it's trying to run also. I'm going to try to find... Let's look at this one, a little more expensive. Now it's just too choppy. The point is, this is a one-day signal, and buyers are coming into it today. But I don't like the looks of this stock at all, even though the fan is up. Okay, that's all I'm going to do today. I'll be trying to refine this more and more, but I think I'm pretty much getting there, and I hope you're using these and finding them useful. Have a good weekend, and I'll do another video next Friday.